Hello, and how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Joe?
I am good. Can you let the people know what you do and what your name is?
My name is Kelsie Jo, and I am a photographer slash entrepreneur slash social media manager slash content creator.
Okay. And so
mom.
You do, mom.
Yeah.
Okay. And how old are your kids?
My son is 6 and my daughter is 4.
And Van Buren based, always?
Not always. I was born and raised in Fort Smith. I went to Southside, graduated in 2009. So do the math. I'm old. And we moved to Van
2009?
Yeah.
Let me actually do the math because you're not old. You can't be old.
Yeah. Do the math.
I would guess that you're, oh no, in appearance, you definitely don't look over 31.
Thank you.
But based off what you just said, I'm guessing you 35?
33.
33. Okay.
Yes.
I didn't do the math. I was just guessing.
I can't math, so
Okay.
I don't blame you. I'm not judging you.
Okay, so you graduated 2000. Were you in yearbook over there?
Not yearbook. I did journalism.
Okay.
Like for the paper.
Okay.
Just my sophomore year. So I just I stopped doing that.
Okay.
But I did it a lot in junior high at Ramsey. Ramsey Rams.
Yeah. Okay, so you graduated 2009 there, and then did you continue into higher education?
So a little bit of college. I went to Arkansas Tech University in Russellville for a year, and I majored in graphic design. And I just wasn't really I was just unsure of what I wanted to do with my life. And I feel like when you're young like that, you really don't know what you want to do. And like back then, it was like a huge pressure to like go to college no matter what. It doesn't matter what you want to do. If you want to do a trade, no way, like college is the way to go. Yeah. So I went to Russellville for a year, and then I transferred to UFIS, and I was there for a year. And then I stopped. I dropped out of school, and I focused on my photography business.
You dropped out?
Yeah, I know. I don't have a college degree, y'all. It's like, oh my God, what a shame.
It's okay. I dropped out.
Go drop out.
Yeah, drop out. Oh my gosh. Okay, so you dropped out, and then you pursue your photography degree. Were you already doing it quite a bit before? Like unofficially, Kelsie Jo photography?
I actually started taking pictures in my junior year of high school. I was taking the seniors' pictures, and I remember right out of high school, I did my first wedding, and I only charged $300.
Yep, sounds about right.
Yeah.
I did $250.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, memories. Yeah. It's awesome.
Okay, so you went to school at UFIS, and then you started the photography business. What year was that?
So technically, I started my business probably in like 2011, 2012. Okay. But I was like taking pictures and learning, and I had a passion for it like my junior year of high school. So 2008, 2007. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
So something that you mentioned I want to go back to is you were talking about with school, you just felt like that was the thing that you did back then is like you got out of high school, you went to school. One note I would like to say, and then a question following that. I feel like that definitely is more prominent in small towns. Like it's like the only way to get out of a small town. Mm-hmm. And so if you were in, like for me, it was Brinkley, Van Buren. Even Fort Smith is considered, it feels way more small than it actually is. Yes. So it seems like the only way to get away is to go to school. But that's definitely not true.
Yeah.
And honestly, like if you want to get away that much, you could do it for a lot less than how much school costs for something you don't even know.
Yeah.
Like the purpose of, and I feel like the second thing is too, graphic design. I feel like a lot of photographers who are now photographers, if you ask them what they went to school for, a lot of them say graphic design because they didn't know. Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Well, there is not a lot of like photography degrees offered. Like you'd have to go to like the art school in New York or something if you wanted to get a photography degree back then. And also it wasn't really like if I brought that up to my parents or a counselor or something when I was younger, they'd be like, you sure you want to make $20,000 a year?
Yeah.
You know, it was always, it was very big about like going to school, getting a degree, making lots of money. And now we're seeing an influx of a lot of people our age that are struggling because they get out of college and like there's nothing for them.
Yeah.
You know, they're struggling to find jobs. And honestly, I think when I pursued my business, that is what really grew me, like knowledge wise, education, because if I wanted to learn something, I learned it, like YouTube, mentorships, workshops, things like that. And that's what made my business successful, was like just the passion behind it and wanting to know how to better myself, how to better my business. And I feel like if you're just going to college and you don't really know what you want to do, you're not really going to take it seriously. And that was that's not for everybody, but that was my problem. Was like, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, because one area was telling me, you need to, be a businesswoman, get a master's degree and do all this. And then the other side was like, but you love photography. Like, what if you just pursue that and grow that? So it's double-edged sword.
Yeah. So if you rewind back to Kelsie Jo graduating, and you're walking off the stage and summer's coming up and fall's there, and school is an option, not something you have to do.
Right.
What choice would you have made differently?
Oh gosh, I love that question, and I've never really thought about it. I think I would have not been as afraid to ask questions, like go to other photographers in the area that have been doing it for a long time and like asking them for advice, or saying, hey, like, can we set up some type of mentorship where like I pay you and I follow you around, or, just like trying to get that under my belt. And then maybe just like looking into a trade of some sort of like, I don't know, maybe I could have been an electrician for all we know.
Yeah. They make good money.
I might not have been a great electrician, but you never know.
Yeah. So I was doing an episode yesterday with the Colonel out at the 188
I
wing.
saw that. Congratulations. Yeah. That's awesome.
It was super fun to talk with him. But what was more exciting for me was the conversation that happened after the cameras were turned off, and other people came in, other officers, and we just talked for a little bit. And something that's really, really cool that I am very, very interested in right now is all the different benefits they talked about with just becoming part of like I think it's the National Guard is technically what it is, Army, National Guard, whatever it is. But becoming part of the program out there is, one, all you have to do to get these benefits that I'm going to list is you come out once a weekend on a Saturday and a Sunday, once a month on a Saturday and Sunday. And just because you do that, you get health insurance, you get all military benefits, you get life insurance, you get you can go onto any military base free, and because you actually have a military card, you can get all the military benefits anywhere you go. So for instance, they were like, we oftenly go to SeaWorld completely for free because they let people who have military benefits go. So me and my kids go all the time for free.
Wow.
You just get in. So all of these different things, and they pay fully for your school. They pay for your school. When you go train, they take care of all your training, and they pay your rent back home. So I say all that to say, one of the things that they told me is pretty much no strings attached. Like you could do a full-time job as a photographer, videographer, graphic design within the military, or you can just come every weekend and you get these benefits. Oh, here's the other crazy thing.
I was about to say, but I'm not in shape, but I can take a picture.
No, and so that's the thing. So I was talking to Lauren about it, and she was like, but like, because it's called drill training is what you come to once a month.
Training.
Yeah, it's none of that.
Okay.
Like literally the school that you go to is you get like, it's like PR school for 6 months. It's literally like, she was telling me that the things that you do is they'll say like, hey, we need to make a PSA. So like they're going to give you a camera. They're going to give you like some tools, and you have to go create a PSA. You bring it back. Or they'll give you an assignment of like, hey, this crazy thing just happened. Like what happened at Mercy Hospital.
Yeah.
She was like, this is a good example. That team is the team that put out the statement of exactly what happened. That was already ready. So what we're doing within the military is we're getting statements ready like that. So in the training, like you're creating statements based off of if a certain situation happens, here's what we're going to say to the public. So it's literally like,
that's amazing.
It's not like military stuff. So all that to say, I was like, talking to them about it, and they were like, yeah, this is really, really good for anyone who has a small business, because you could do something like, hey, I want a full-time temporary job, because my business is slow right now as a photographer, videographer. And so you could say,
how wonderful is that?
I know. So you can get paid full time. You still have all these benefits. Whether you do what I'm saying from here or not, you still get all the benefits, which is what's crazy. So you could say like, hey, it's winter right now and it's slower, or it's summer and it's slower for me typically.
Yeah,
so I want to come down and work a full-time job temporarily for like 3 months or 6 months. They'll say, hey, okay, yeah, we have a position. We'll come on, we'll pay you full-time. And then you can stop at whatever point you want to. But you still get paid. Or what's even crazier is they were saying like sometimes, or pretty much every 2 months at least, we have overseas missions that you can go on. And so like we'll go to Peru,
amazing.
We'll go to Colombia, we'll go to Japan, and you could just say, hey, I want to go, and they'll just pay you as a contractor and take care of all your travel. So like you can go for photograph, video, make graphics, work on
It sounds
PR.
like too good to be true.
I know, that's what I said. So I'm meeting with them to talk more about this.
Let's go.
Because I was wondering, I think, like, am I allowed to do this still because of my age? Because, you hear about this stuff and you're like, oh, you have to be recruited right out of high school. That's what you think. But like, no, like there are people who sign up in the middle of their 30s. They're like, you're 27. You're perfect. This will be fine for you.
You're a baby.
I know. I'll be 28 this year. I'll be 28.
Moving on up.
But all that to say, I was thinking about that because if I would have known that was more of a choice out of high school, directly out of high school, I would have 100% did that. I mean, you still can do that. Oh, I didn't say the craziest thing. The craziest thing is this to me.
More?
This is the craziest thing. So again, you can just do the drill training and you get access to this. Drill training is once a month. And by the way, drill training sounds scary. Lauren was like, oh my gosh, drill training. I don't want to go to that, because they were like, invite your family to the next drill training. But it's literally like you're just prepping, you're taking photos, you're taking videos, you're helping live stream. That's all you're doing on drill training once a month.
You don't have to climb a wall.
Yeah, you don't there's none of that. Literally none of that.
Nice.
So you can bare minimum do that once a month and you get a check for $7,000 a year for every kid that you have for private school.
Okay, that's awesome.
Like, what?
Yeah.
And I was like, she was like, yeah, it's actually way easier to get this than you think.
And is this new?
No, it's been around forever.
And why do we not know about it?
I know.
Is it like a hidden secret?
Like, I know I'm really not trying to promote this. I'm not trying to promote this. I'm not paid. I'm not sponsored. But if this is all true, I'm going to drill training a week from now and I'll find out a little bit more information. But I just feel like this is if you are a photographer, videographer, and you don't have a big business and you do have slow seasons, I'm like, why not? Because one of the biggest things that we struggle with
potentially later too.
We struggle with insurance and things like this. Your checks are tax free. So like, say for instance, if you work and you go to training and you get a $700 check, for us, we know in business, like we don't get actually $700.
$700 is
no,
nothing.
you actually get a check for exactly how much you're getting paid for, because it's tax free, because it's through them. So it's like,
I'm coming to the meeting with you.
What?
Just pick me up.
This is crazy. I mean, they have a gym, all the different things. Okay. I know. I'm super excited about it because obviously I just heard about it. But I would have definitely done this right out of high school.
Yeah, and like, how great, like, just on another perspective, how great would that be for like, someone kind of aging out of the foster care system, or, like just kids that have, no structure at home, that they like, this is an opportunity for them to go and like regardless of what occupation they choose. Yes. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I wish I would have known about this.
Yeah.
Like, was it around in 2009?
Again, I don't know. Something, it just seems too good to be true right now. So I ain't going to test it. I'm going to see, and I'll report back.
Don't air this.
I know.
I don't want everybody to come steal our job.
I will report back on it. But I'm really talking about this because I would have said the same exact thing you said when someone asked me the question, well, would I change right out of high school?
Yeah.
Up until yesterday when I found out about this. I was like, well, because I would have said, I would have paid to just go shadow someone.
Yeah.
Instead of maybe go to school. I would have just paid to shadow. Because the only other thing I have with, if you already have the talent coming out of high school to do photography, videography, or any trades, then why go to school? The thing that I say is because of the connections. So if you come from a small town, you come from a community, you probably don't have big connections.
Right.
More than likely you don't.
Right.
So going to school it would definitely help you get connected.
And education is like 100% important. I hope I don't I don't want to perceive that for anybody. Like, if you go and get a college education, like, wonderful. I'm so proud of you. But whatever you choose, I'm proud of you. As long as you're taking a step forward and not staying where it's comfortable, that is where I'm proud of you. You know?
Yeah. Huh. It made me think comfortable. Yeah. What are some of the places that you've been uncomfortable with the photography business?
Oh my God. How many times? I mean, there's been times where I'm like, yeah, I can do that project.
Oh, no, ma'am. Hold up. Do not give me some broad level stuff. Give me a real world example.
Well, I mean,
you can blur clients' names. You don't have to.
I'm trying to think of like just a specific one because there's been so many. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. Yeah. Like, there's just been instances where, like, okay, when I first started getting into off-camera flash or just any lights of that sort, I just rented a couple. And I didn't really like do a lot of research. I was just like, trial and error. I'm really big on trial and error. Like, that is how I've learned a lot in my career. And so I was at a wedding and I was doing family pictures and I was like, I've seen this happen. Like, I had the remote connected to my camera that it would power off the lights and I had all that figured out. But I had them on the sides and I was like, okay, like, it's directly hitting them. Like, I'm sure that's going to work. And I kept firing it and like, it didn't look good to me. Like, I was like, what is going on? Like, am I doing something wrong? Well, later on, I realized that I never took the lid off of the light bulb to the strobe and it melted to the strobe. And I had to walk into Bedford's. Thank God it was Benjamin Vandermeer. He's like a wonderful photographer in this area, by the way. If you've never met him, he used to work at Bedford's. And I remember I rented it from them and I delivered it. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to have to like pay something for this, but I melted the lid to the strobe. And he was like, it's okay. Like, I mean, he was so chill about it. He didn't make fun of me. I was so worried that I was going to go in there and they're going to be like, can you believe this wannabe photographer just like melted the lid of the light bulb?
So funny.
So yeah, that's one of those. But that was, although that was an embarrassing, teachable moment, that was me stepping out of my comfort zone of no lights, just being a natural light photographer, which is fine if that's the way you choose to go. But just stepping out of that and working with lights and things like that, like, it was embarrassing, but I learned a lot.
I think it's so interesting that I feel like we put a lot of pressure on ourselves nowadays, maybe even before, but we just think we have to come out of the gate being the GOAT of whatever career field we're in. Especially when it comes to creative arts. We have to come out thinking our Instagram grids have to look the best. We have to come out looking like our photos need to look way better than this other person who's been doing it for 20 years. Yep. And it's like, no, why should it? Yeah. You should be more comfortable with messing up, learning, messing up, learning, because you're getting better over time.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
you're
good,
not,
Joe. That's good advice.
I think it's hard for a lot of people, especially here, because you don't have education.
Yes.
Like, you don't have and I could be wrong, but most people I've talked to who are now in the creative arts of any sort, photographer, videographer, graphic designer, they did go to school and they learned quite a few things, but not as much as they wish they would have known here in Arkansas. So I just think that we're still lacking there. In that area. So all that to say, you have to do trial and error. Yeah. Because how else are you supposed to learn to get to where you are 10 years from now, where you're looking back and you're like, I really know what I'm doing. Yeah. Like, I'm the best at what I can do now. Yeah. But if you don't burn a few lids from lights, how are you going to know?
And return them.
Yeah, I know. Or break a few cameras. Oh my gosh. I've broken so many drones trying to learn how to be a pilot. But it takes time. It takes time. Like, there's not, I don't know any, or even if there is training, even if there is different, like we talked about mentor opportunities, we don't always have the money, and our families and our parents, especially, don't always have the money, especially here in Arkansas. It's a poverty state. A lot of people don't have money for these different things. Now, there are different institutions. I don't know if you've heard of the Creative Institute in Conway. It's like a gap year program.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's really cool because basically what happens is, like, say for instance, if you're a photographer, this happens all the time now. They have people who come in, hey, I want to be a photographer. Hey, I want to be a graphic designer. Hey, I want to be a writer. they'll come in and instead of going to school, they take a year, they take 2 years and say, I'm going to put that on hold, or I may not even go at all. And they go to the Creative Institute, which is like a fraction of the cost of a school.
That's
like
amazing.
Really, really affordable. And there's even grants to where a lot of them don't even have to pay. So they go, they have work.
They have that now.
I know.
I wish they did
They
when I was
needed
younger,
more
but
places.
you know,
Yeah. So they'll partner you with an actual, like they give you actual jobs.
Yeah.
So you come in and like you actually get trained by people who, like I go and I will teach a class there. As someone who is a career professional in the field of videography, I'll teach a class or on social media or on how to edit videos. And then you get partnered with an actual business to complete the actual task.
Yeah.
So like not only would you go to school and learn, you actually get to, like we were saying, have that mentor opportunity as well. And you get to go work for another agency in town.
What a great opportunity.
I know. Isn't that so crazy?
Yeah.
We need more stuff like that, I think. And like I said, that's only in Conway right now. But that's another opportunity for someone who's right out of school who could do something like that. Have you ever like thought about mentoring and taking someone under your wing?
Yeah.
Or have you tried it?
I've offered them before, and I've had some like leads to it, but most of the time people just like, they want it, but they just can't afford it. And it's not that I'm like asking for tons. It's just, I think right now, because I did it like, I started it a few years ago. And I think just after, can I say COVID on here?
Yeah.
After COVID, it just like, it really put a wrench in a lot of people's mindsets, I think, of just like, what is the future going to look like? Like, is it worth it for me to do this? Is it valuable? And because, you know, it made a big hit towards like luxury businesses like ours and the beauty industry and things of that nature. Because like extra expenses were just something that people had to start cutting back on.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think it does depend, though.
Yeah.
Like for me, my business grew more than ever during COVID.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, I wouldn't be where I am today if COVID didn't happen.
Really?
Yeah, because it was slow. I had gotten laid off of jobs. But then there were churches who needed to go online. So
praise the Lord.
Super busy
Praise
doing
the
that.
Lord.
Yeah. Setting up live streaming for churches. Also, like churches who maybe had been slacking on their media, they were all hiring full-time positions. So I did that.
Like, we need Joe.
Yeah. So I did that for a little bit. And then
that's great.
After that, I had all those connections. So, but for people who are just honestly not in that field, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I will say though, like, you know, in 2021, when, you know, everybody was getting stimulus checks and like business was great. I mean, that was like the best business year of my life. Like my husband got to quit his job for a year and like help me at home. And I had someone working under me. And then it was like, it just started dwindling down, you know, the housing market, the interest rates started going up, and it was a shock because I had gotten so used to a certain lifestyle. And then when it slowed down, and I also had to, you know, COVID really put a huge perspective in my mind towards my family and like my kids and how I want to be really present for them. And I was working so much that I wasn't able to be present with them, you know, and it was causing a lot of, you know, anxiety and mental health issues of just like feeling like I had to focus on work all the time because, you know, I worked right out of high school. Like that's been my whole life was work. So it was a huge shift after COVID of slowing down.
Yeah.
And I had to make the decision of kind of saying goodbye to this certain lifestyle and working so much, and then saying yes to what the Lord had been trying to bring me to was like, slow down, rest, enjoy the present moment with your kids, because, you know, life on earth is not like, you know, something could happen tomorrow. And it's just like, just living in the present moment. And I wasn't doing that prior. And now with the mindset I'm in now of just that rest, I'm still able to work and pursue the things that he's gifted me to do and still work very hard, but also at the same time, limit myself, have boundaries, don't push myself past the limit.
Yes.
And that's been really great. Although I'm not like, sitting on a pile of money like I was before, I'm much healthier. I've lost like 50 pounds. I'm more inclined to like choose to eat a salad over a cheeseburger, like just
Overall
going for walks
health.
in the morning. Like that mental health change is so worth it to me over that.
Yeah, financial gain.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
But you can have both.
Yeah.
I think the Lord can bless anything. So,
yeah.
And he wants to bless it. So,
one of the things I think about now when it comes to growth in any business, especially ours right now, is, I talk about COVID a lot with people on this podcast, because how can you not, if you have a business that's been established for a while, COVID definitely affected you personally, in your business, all the different things. And so one of the things I think about now is how hard it is. We talked about it a little bit before with interest rates, with the inflation, with just everything is so much harder right now. You talk about funding for your business. I've tried every avenue. Haven't been able to get anything.
Yeah.
Anything that's reasonable that I should accept,
Yeah.
With talking about interest rates and all those different things. And I look back on COVID and I'm like, man, COVID did a lot of good things. Like it provided a lot of good.
Of course.
Excuse me, not COVID itself, but the government acted on behalf of the lack of and provided quite well.
Yeah.
But I honestly think, and I would love to hear your opinion, I think they over provided, and that's why we are today.
Yeah.
Like I know it sounds great to get a stimulus check, but I wonder.
But now we're paying for it.
Yes. And I feel like it's so much harder right now.
Yeah.
Like I talk to people who are actually wealthy, and even they have a tight fist around their dollars right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, like when is this gonna come down? I know we have the election coming up, and I'm not political at all. I'm not even politically correct. I'm sure I've said something wrong.
I'm all for Jesus, baby.
I don't know. But I'm hoping that something happens.
Yeah.
Because it's just insane right now.
Yeah.
Luckily, I'm so happy that we chose to make the decision to move down to Fort Smith, because it is more, it's better because it isn't expensive to live here.
Yeah.
So even though there isn't like a ton of money yet, because there will be a ton of money coming soon into the area.
In Jesus' name.
I know. But it's still so much more helpful.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, rent, like you say you have a house, right?
Yes.
How many beds and baths do you have?
Technically, I think we have 3.
3
or
beds.
4. Yeah, 4.
Okay. So we were renting, but we had 3 bed, 2 bath in Texas. And we were renting. It was like over $2,000 a month. Here, $1,300, and maybe even more square footage, including a 2-car garage.
Yeah.
Actually, definitely more. So it's like,
That's crazy.
come on.
Yeah.
And so I love that part of Arkansas. And I think that's overall everywhere in Arkansas, except Northwest Arkansas.
Yes.
But they have so much more going on. Have you ever thought about going that way?
No. I think if like we were in different circumstances, maybe, but like, my husband has a good job and like my kids, I love their schooling and things like that. I don't think I would leave for that. But in the past, like when I was younger, I think it would have been a great idea for me to like expand and go up there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I feel like I have thought about going there, and more recently I'm like, well, because clearly there's more money in the area, but I feel like it's just becoming as big as Dallas as far as the economy.
Oh, yeah.
And so obviously everything else is just so much more expensive up there. So it's like,
the houses in Bentonville are like crazy expensive. It's wild.
I know. And I feel like have you seen the new homes around here?
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
I know. It's like you took these huge homes
like
and just placed them here.
Heidi and Lloyd's house
my gosh.
is gorgeous. It's it's like a resort.
Yeah, I forgot.
Anytime we're
you've
there.
been over there. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Anytime we're in the backyard, I'm like, I feel like I'm in Mexico.
Yeah, I know. It's so freaking nice. I'm sorry I can't show you guys on the podcast or backyard, but I'm just telling you, it's super nice.
And they're great people too.
Yeah.
Love them.
Yeah, you should get a photo studio out here.
I should. We should do that.
Yeah, I think one of my ideas that I had over here with one of the barracks is to actually do a rental photo studio. So say, for instance, someone like yourself or Michelle, like you could come in and you could do like have a chimney there ready for Santa Claus photos.
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
winter.
Yeah.
Or have like a place where it's just like white backdrop, black backdrop, natural light coming in the window. I feel like that would do well because there's so many photographers here.
Yeah. So I follow a place that does that in Tulsa, and me, Michelle, and a couple of our other photographer friends, we've always like kind of joked around about having something like that for the community, because we do, and not just for photographers, but like people that just want some content for whatever they're doing, you know, or even like a birthday party, you know, they want to get a nice picture in there or something. We used to have a place called Get Snappin' in Fort Smith, and they had like different little like booths. They were small, but they were fun. Like there'd be one where it'd be like a red wall and a red chair and a red phone, you know, like just something really different. They have, they're called, what are they called?
I think I know what you're talking
There's
about.
like some in Dallas. I think there's some in Northwest Arkansas too.
They're
photo booth, photo booth studios.
Doesn't it begin with like an L? Lumen? No. I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. And they're really cool.
Yeah,
but they're just like pop up. You can go in there with your phone. You can go in there with an actual camera.
Yep.
They have like ring lights set up and stuff in there for you to use.
They had like an annual fee for photographers where they could come in anytime and bring their clients in and stuff. And it was great, but you know, it didn't last.
Yeah,
and it's unfortunate, but like it's things like that I feel would be great over here.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked a lot about photography, but you also do social media management. What all do you do with that?
So this is very new for me. So please don't like nobody get the idea that I'm like the best social media manager in the world.
I'm going to judge you.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially Joe. Oh my gosh.
I'm joking.
So I come from a perspective of like, if this were my business, how would I want to promote it?
Yeah.
You know, like how would I want to, what's my audience reach? You know, who am I trying to reach? And one of my accounts is Onyx in Fort Smith. They're like a med spa, and they help people with weight loss. They do Botox. They do like, you know, all the
Wait, are you logged into their account?
Yeah.
Did you message me back the other night?
Did I accidentally message you from their page?
No, I messaged them.
Oh, you
inviting
did?
them coming onto the podcast.
Oh, cool.
And
I don't read. I don't read any of their. Yeah.
Okay.
That's one thing is like, you know, with HIPAA and all that, like
their stuff is cool. They're so like, okay. Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Hey.
Yeah. I need to put up, I'm going to put up I'm going to remember to put up one of their videos here on the screen that it definitely stuck out, and I followed them because of that. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm here.
Yeah. That's cool. Okay.
But no, they're great. Like they're wonderful people. So please have them on. They're fantastic. But yeah, so the thing that I love the most with theirs is like not just going in and, you know, taking nice photos of them and like scheduling out posts, but like making the reels and just the fun content. That is so fun to me. I love going in and just like hyping people up and like, hey, you do this. Hey, you do that. And just kind of almost like creative direction. I love that.
Yeah.
And they're really great people too. So it's kind of easy to do that. You know, sometimes you'll get clients that, you know, they're not as into it as you are. So it's a little bit more challenging. But like Onyx, they're fantastic.
Yeah,
I love them.
And they're all young too. So like they understand. I mean, I would guess that they would understand the landscape of social media and what works.
Yeah.
And so they're not like embarrassed to try some trendy reel or something like that.
We talk about that a lot because I ask them questions. I'm like, hey, like what do you feel like us being super present on social media has helped a lot? And they're like, oh yeah. Because summertime for med spas is typically slower because people are traveling and like they already got their Botox and stuff for vacation. So like, you know, June, July, August, and then August is prepping for schools, kids going back to school and stuff. So I feel like a social media presence is super important for a lot of businesses right now. And I've also kind of branched into some content creation, like for myself. I'm trying to make that Kylie Pitts money.
Oh, okay. Oh my God.
Have you seen Kylie Pitts?
I think I know who you're talking about. Is she's the one who...
She's like the very country accent.
Oh.
On TikTok.
Yes.
Yes.
So I saw her... Isn't her husband in her content sometime? Is she married?
I don't know if I've seen a lot of her husband. You might be thinking of the girl that was in prison that had like she has long blonde hair, but she's super funny.
Oh, no. This person is like right over the border in Oklahoma, but they're like TikTok famous. And she has like a black husband, but she's white. And they're both super country.
Her husband's white. So there might be two different.
No, I don't know who you're talking about then. And I'm off TikTok right now, so...
I fasted it for 6 months and I'm back on and now I'm a content creator. So
oh my God. I mean, I post there every day, but I don't have the app downloaded.
Sometimes you need a good TikTok fast.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Like I'm not downloading that app again. I just don't care for it. But
good.
Yeah. Anyway.
You stay that way.
I know. I'm done with it.
So there's this girl, just going back to Kylie Pitts.
Yeah.
She's kind of started, so she's like a stay-at-home mom. Mm-hmm. And she just started recording herself, like cleaning her house or, like day in the life. But she has this like really country accent. Mm-hmm. So she does the voiceovers and they're super funny. Mm-hmm. And she'll be, what's her saying? Oh, she'll say, good morning, besties. And that's how she starts it off. Oh and people love watching her because she's just very real. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't sugarcoat anything. She like makes coffee a certain way, so everybody wants to do the way she does her coffee, and she'll do clothing hauls and things of that sort. But now on TikTok, like you have the ability to do TikTok shop. So she will promote, say, pots and pans from TikTok shop, and she'll link it in there, and then she'll make so much money off of just that one video.
Yeah. But
she has kind of built a presence for herself, which that takes a lot of work. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, like these influencers, they're making so much money doing nothing. And I'm like, I spent 7 hours on one video for TikTok. Oh my gosh. Video. Yeah. It takes a lot of time, like just the editing and like the voiceovers and the planning that it takes to do all of that. So, I'm really kidding when I say I want to make Kylie Pitts money. I mean, that would be cool. But it's always been something that I've been really interested in, is just like kind of sharing my life. I've had a podcast. I still have a podcast. It's just not active. And I just love being relatable with people, to encouraging people and kind of showing them my life on the inside, because I think people sometimes kind of get this view that like my life is perfect because I'm so happy all the time. And it's easy for me to talk to people, and they kind of get this perspective of like, nothing is wrong in her life. Yeah. And so just to show like the tough parts of my life too, I feel like not only is it helpful for other people, but it's kind of therapeutic for me too. Like, okay, like I'm seeing like people are okay with me being vulnerable. Yeah,
for sure. So all those things you're talking about, more so on the side of building up your personal brand and like almost like an influencer realm. Yeah. What you're talking about? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot of money there.
That's very, very new for me. Like, okay. I just started it a couple weeks ago of just really pursuing it. Like, you know, trying to get 2 to 3 videos out a day and things like that.
What was stopping you before?
Good question, Joe. Wow. No. I would say probably confidence. I've always been like a confident person, but I think sometimes I can get in my head about like, am I going to be able to continue pursuing this? Because there's been so many times in my life, like projects that I've done that haven't gone all the way through, like the podcast, for instance. Like it did great and it was a wonderful thing and it led a lot of people to the Lord, and I'm thankful for that. But at the same time, it didn't go the way that I wanted it to. I wanted it to just like instantly go viral and like instantly give me that gratification. And I think as a young mom in this world and society, it's really hard to continue to work hard towards something that you're not seeing the fruits from. And that's my own personal, like weaknesses, I guess, like something that needs to be worked on. But I think not doing the personal branding and like the influencing, that was more so of like, what if I fail?
Mm-hmm.
So that type of confidence, not confidence of like in myself or in the Lord. It's like, is someone going to see me fail at this?
Mm-hmm. So I'm not calling it a failure. I'm just, because you said you wanted to have instant success when you done anything and you wanted to. So I'm just defining it as failure based off of what you said. So what have you learned from failing?
I love how you preface that. You're like, you didn't fail. How did I learn from that?
Yeah. What did you learn going forward, starting something new? Like you just got back on your feet.
Yeah.
And you're going for the personal brand online again.
Yeah.
Consistently. What did you learn from the first time you tried and stopped?
I think from this perspective, I think it's okay if it doesn't go the way that I want it to. Like if I do all of this work and it produces nothing for me or my family, it's okay. Like it built character for me and it's going to push me to the next thing. Or it might have impacted someone else, like one thing that I love the most about making certain posts and videos is that people will comment and be like, you just brightened my day, or like you encourage me to be happy or encourage me to be joyful. Because I think a lot of people, especially when you're scrolling on your phone, you're just in a moment of like, oh, what is life? You tend to compare yourself to everything online. And I hope that when people see anything I post, that they are, instead of comparing themselves to me of like, I wish I could be like her, that they are more so like, she encourages me to be like the better version of myself.
So before, when you were talking about, starting and trying to grow your personal brand, there was almost like a sense of you saying, I'm okay. I'm not okay if it doesn't work out. So why are you okay now if it doesn't work out? Because that's definitely, you've learned that. So, but what actually makes it okay now if it doesn't work out?
I think because the Lord showed me that life is still life. And like afterwards, even if something didn't go the way that I wanted it to, that there's still love and joy in the world. And like, I still have I'm still so grateful for so many things. I have healthy children, a healthy husband, and like wonderful friends, wonderful church family. And like, no matter what steps I take forward, I'm always going to have that. And I'm going to have him in my life. And, even if everything crashed tomorrow and we lost our home, we lost everything, I still have the Lord. I still have my family. I still have my church. It's like a very humbling experience, like I didn't grow up necessarily poor. We were probably considered like middle class, lower middle class. But I learned a lot throughout my life of just being in certain situations. Like I was very risky. I always I was very impulsive, like in doing things and putting myself in certain situations that I probably shouldn't have, but it taught me so much about life. And I learned a lot about different people, different cultures, different lifestyles. And that really grew my character. And then once I really found my foundation in God, that was like the ultimate, like, okay, the reason that I've gone through all of this is because he's met me right here where I am, so that I can help people that have been through all these other situations that I've dealt with, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of that
No, for sure.
But.
So and I want to see if this is correct, but it sounds like going from, hey, I'm going to start this podcast, stopping, and then starting with, hey, I'm going to actually try to grow my brand online again, but in a different way. It sounds like your idea of success was redefined. Would you say so?
Yeah, for sure.
And how would you say it was?
Less self and more God. Less of what I think, how I think people should perceive me versus just being who I am. You know, like, of course, there are always embellishments in certain instances. Like, you know, if I'm recording myself showing off a outfit or anything, of course, I'm going to be a little bit more silly. You know, I'm silly all the time, but, you know, it's weird being by yourself, filming yourself with clothes, and you're just like, you know, but I do want them to see that side of me. So instead of me, you know, watching this recording and being like, okay, well, like, I can't show that because my double chin is like protruding real hard right now, or, you know, my body doesn't look this way, or I look dumb. Instead of doing that, I'm just like, you know what? Send or post. Because like last night, for instance, I was kind of vlogging my trip to the mall last night, and I was trying on some jeans, and because what I really want to push right now specifically is like plus size clothing and shopping hauls and stuff. And I was at Torrid in the mall, and I was trying on like jeans in the dressing room, and I didn't realize that the mall closes at 8 now. It used to close at 9. Okay. Back when I was a teenager, we got to go home at 9 o'clock, and now it closes at 8. And I was in there, and it was like 10 till 8. And I was in the dressing room, and the ladies at Torrid, they are like the nicest people in the world. They're so friendly. They always have been. And I was in the dressing room, and I was recording myself trying on actually this skirt that I'm wearing right now. And I was like just dancing, like doing a little like Latin, you know, like salsa, and laughing. And in the background, you hear the girl, and she's like, "How's everything going?" And I was like, "It's fine."
Oh my God.
Instantly just like my soul left my body.
Yeah.
And I just like, I was like, yeah, everything's fine. And I'm pretty sure she saw me salsa dancing, like the feet underneath.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
Instead of me looking at that video and being like, people are going to think I'm so dumb, or like, you know, I look so stupid in that. How embarrassing of me. I was like, I'm posting that. And honestly, that has gotten a lot more views versus like the ones that I'm like planning out specifically, like, this is how I'm going to say this and that sort. I feel like right now people are just really craving authenticity and something real, especially our youth, because they're so used to fake. And like, this is how my parent or whoever in their life acts here, and this is how they act here. And I think them seeing someone, especially of my age, of just being myself and not worrying about what others are thinking or how they're perceiving me is huge.
When I'm listening to some of the ways that you describe your life versus, you know, a couple years ago to now, some of the things that I see that are different is it seems like everything that you were defining as success years ago were forward thinking, very future, not in the now, right? So it was like you're saying statements like, oh, I wonder what people will think once I post this. The video hasn't even been posted yet. I'm wondering, I want to get this many views once this video goes out. Now you're sitting back and you're looking in front of you and you're like, oh, everything that I would want if this video went viral, maybe except the monetary value, is already here. You know, you're talking about things of, it's okay because my family is still here. It's okay because my face is still here. So if I don't get the views, all those things still exist. And now you're saying because of that, press play, you know, press post. It's easier to make that decision because now you're more focused on what's in your hands and what's in front of you.
Yes.
And I think that if we kind of start any business, any idea, any venture, any TikTok, any YouTube video with the idea of, this has to work. Like I call it like a Hail Mary pass, right? It's like your last go. Like, hey, if I post this TikTok shop video and I don't get $5,000 from commissions, like I don't know what I'm going to do with my life.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to be very, very sad. If you're starting with that mindset, then you're already in an extremely unhealthy place.
Right.
I think starting from a place of freedom
Yeah.
Like I feel free to go create content. I feel free to go create this business opportunity. I feel super free to go take this photo, even if it's undercharged or, like I'm happy to do what I'm doing because when I go home, guess what? All the constants are still there. My family's still there. My husband's still there for you. Obviously, I don't have a husband. My faith is still there. Jesus is waiting for me.
Yeah.
And he's there with me on a car ride home. All those things are still consistent. You're able to be more free. Yeah. Like you said, you're able to actually even get more views because you're able to be more of the person you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
If you're living life like that, just imagine how stressed you are. That's one of the reasons why I deleted TikTok. One of the reasons why I'm considering deleting YouTube Studio right now, just because if you're focused on metrics, then you're more focused on the outcome of stuff when you can't even control that.
Yeah.
All you can do is make better content. Yeah. All you can do is provide better services for your clients. So imagine this. If you had someone controlling your bank account and you never saw it, you never saw your bank account, but someone was controlling it. You have no idea how much money it is.
Yeah.
How would you operate your business? For me, I'll answer. No, actually, let me ask you that question. How would you operate your business? And then I'll answer that question for myself.
A lot less stress and a lot more just doing things out of the love for it and the passion for it versus I have to do X, Y, and Z so that I have enough money in my bank account to pay my bills, And I think right now it's so hard for so many because we're so focused on finances and debt and getting out of a hole that we've dug ourselves in. And if we didn't see that and someone was like, yeah, you're good. They were watching, they're like, yeah, you're good. It would be a lot less anxiety and more inspiration, like wanting to inspire others. So yeah, that's a good question. Have you ever thought about being a therapist?
Yeah, that's what this podcast is.
You're the therapist. Okay, Arkansas Minds therapist, everybody.
Gosh. So I've thought about this a lot, and I'll take it into an actual day-to-day basis. Let's say I have a social media client, right? And I'm creating content for them. So if I'm not worried about what's in my bank account, that already sets a precedent for a couple different things that also don't matter anymore. One, that also makes it to where it doesn't matter if this client drops me.
Just chasing the dollar.
Yeah. So if I'm going to provide the best things for this client that I think work, and if they don't think that's true, then I'm completely okay with separating ways from them.
Yeah.
If you're worried about the money, you are definitely concerned with losing that client.
Very true.
So one, you're more focused on the success of the client. So what does that tangibly mean? Well, I'm going to go into a chiropractor and I'm going to say, hey, I really do think you should do this training video. We should create it. Yeah. It's super silly. You're going to look super goofy on LinkedIn when you post this. But I can tell you that you're definitely going to get views. You're definitely going to get clicks. And I can tell you for sure that you're going to get 2 new people in the door. For sure. Organically, no paid ads. Let's create this video. And they say, no, I don't want to. Well, then I would immediately walk away because you're already telling me that I can't make you successful. And that's what I'm here for. So, because let's be honest, we've had those conversations and then we continue those relationships. And what are we actually saying? Here's what we're saying when we continue those relationships. We're saying, okay, you've already agreed to not go based off of what my success is, which I'm trained in. I get paid to do this for a living. So even though I'm going to continue to work with you, I'm going to create content for you just to take your money and not actually help you grow because I've already tried the things that are going to help you grow. And don't get me wrong, there's trial and error. And no one freaking knows the algorithm. No one knows. Yeah. So we can say, oh yeah, we're specialists and we're gonna this video is definitely gonna go viral, but we don't actually know. That's why there's the chance. And we say, I think the chance for this to go viral, I think the chance for this to bring in more leads is there. That's one whole separate thing. But we're more focused on, hey, what do you want? Another example. Let's say if you have a business, a lot of businesses don't even care to go viral. They just want to make their business look more professional. which are the easiest clients to work with.
Yeah.
They're not fun, I would say, because like you're not creating viral content, right? You're not creating you're just creating content that looks good. You want them to be able to post this on LinkedIn, post this on Facebook,
they
and
just
their
want a
peers.
presence.
Yes,
Yeah.
and their peers are like, man, like who's doing that? Who's doing their content?
Yeah.
Or wow, they look successful. So those are completely different, right? But those are super easy because you're mainly doing what you've been taught to do, which is take a good looking photo.
Yeah.
To make a simple looking video
Yeah.
that looks professional, well lit, well colored, and post that. To put a quote with a graphic on their page. Those are easy. But those, I mean, for me, those don't give me life. They just give me money, you know? And so I wouldn't work with them. If I'm not having to worry about looking at my bank account and monitor how much money is coming in and out, I would work with those people. Like, for instance, Shannon at Home Salon. Have you met her?
Yeah, I've known her for a long time. I love her.
I would work with her. I work with people like Fort Smith Coffee Co. who don't have these huge marketing budgets, but their heart is so freaking pure.
Yeah.
Their service to the community is so pure.
Yes.
Actually, I would say so much so pure that it actually stops them from making as much money as they could because they're not going to cross boundaries that they've set or values for their business just for financial gain.
Yeah.
I want to work with those people.
Community mindset people.
Yes.
Yes.
And I say I'm specifically highlighting them because 100% you're not going to make as much money as you would working with someone like them versus ArcFest.
Yeah.
You're just not. But the content that you create is so much more meaningful.
Yeah.
So much, like they're so much more happy
Yeah.
with the outcome that they get at a price point that they can afford. And so I think for me, if I wasn't looking at my bank account and someone else was controlling it, those are the things I would do. And the conversations that I would be having with that person, instead of calling them like, hey, can I afford this camera? It would be like, hey, do we have money to buy this person lunch today? Like I would be more centered around those things because I think eventually, you know, it will get to a place where I'm not worried about bills because I think when we see our money, first of all, when we see our money as business owners, we definitely find a way to spend it.
Yeah.
Quickly find a way to spend it.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who it was. There was a big YouTuber. I'm trying to remember who exactly this YouTuber was. I think it was Mr. Beast. No, it was Will Smith. Will Smith. He would call his person who does this. Like, again, I don't know if he still does this, but he just has someone who manages his bank account. And he called him. He was like, hey, I mean, this is after he's done multiple movies. Can I afford this watch? Like he's asking these people, can he afford this watch? And I think the responsibility behind that is like having someone else helping you manage your money is super important. Don't we do the same thing when we tithe?
That's right.
Yeah, we give that money saying, hey, I'm responsible for the rest of this. Now what can I do with it? Or what's the best way to make my life more fruitful with this money?
Yeah.
So having that mindset automatically puts us, you know, hopefully most of the time it puts us above everyone. But I don't know.
You're preaching, Joe. I mean, you've been preaching to me. Like, I mean, this is the mindset that I think we all need of just thinking of others versus ourselves. And yes, like stewarding our money and taking care of our families and stuff. But like when I am more meaningful and intentional with others without seeing the benefit of that, like, just for instance, paying for someone's lunch and them not knowing, or, you know, someone's not gonna turn around and be like, wow, that was really nice of you to do that. That is more fruitful than someone walking up to you and be like, hey, I'd like to do this business deal with you. Here's $20,000.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like whenever I am more intentional with what the Lord wants me to do in like ministry, and when I take the time to renew my mind every day, when I go to the coffee shop and I pray over people, or just doing anything that is of Him versus, oh, well, I got to do this. I gotta finish editing these photos for blah, blah, blah. You know, whenever I do those things, that community mindset of thinking of others, He takes care of the rest.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah.
And when I get in the mindsets of, okay, well, I got to put my work hat on and I got to get this done because, the bills got to get paid. And then I stop thinking about others. That's when it starts to, like the wheel starts turning and it almost feels like you're up against a wall, I guess.
Well, I think a lot of perceptions that people have is those things have to be separate. And like, even if someone's not paying attention to what you're actually saying, I think that they could see that you're saying, because it sounds like you're saying, but you're not saying it, that those are separate. Like you have a business hat, you have a spiritual hat. And that's not true. You have to, if you're a believer, and this goes for any, there are a bunch of different people who are listening and they have beliefs.
For sure.
Different beliefs. But if you are a believer of any sort, I believe that there's an integration. There's a work spirit life integration. And I think that you can actually lead your business spiritually without ever having to say who you follow in your spiritual life. So for instance, for me, that's exactly what's been happening here since I've been to Fort Smith. I came in and I said, God, literally, it sounds like I'm exaggerating. I had no job lined up, nothing. God, where do you want me to go today? I wake up, where do you want me to go today? This isn't like some thought I'm having in my head. I'm physically saying at 6:30, where do you want me to go today?
That's so free.
Okay, you should go here. So I go here. And actually, this is a live demonstration. I'll actually say exactly what it was. So it was like, hey, you should go to this morning coffee meeting for business owners. Okay, so I go to that. There, at that meeting, I meet Gabe. I meet the owners of Fort Smith Coffee Co. Wow. I meet pretty much every single person I know from Fort Smith right now. I met them through there.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, okay, what now? Hey, you should tell one of those people that you have produced free video content for them. What? Free video content?
You're like, really?
You know how?
Sure, God?
I mean, you get prideful. You're like, I'm too good to do free stuff. Like I've been doing this, I've done this, I got this. I've been paid this much. You want me to do this for free? Okay, whatever. I'll do it for free. That led to different opportunities. That opportunity led to where I am today in this studio. Because I met this person through that person. And it's like, you never know, like you literally never know where you could go unless you're obedient first.
Yeah.
And I mean that not as in just obedient to God, but obedient to what you hear in your heart. I talked to Shannon about this a lot. She was like, if you're not following your heart as a business owner, then what are you doing? Like if you're actually the answer is you're only following profit gains. And like you said, we live in a generation where we are looking for something real. We're not looking for something fake. So a lot of kids now who are shopping at these different stores, they're like, okay, how do they actually get these products? Because if they're coming from sweatshops, I'm not interested. Because they now actually care about the behind the scenes more. So all that to say, they can sift through all the bull crap. Like if you're only out here to make money and your products are cheap, your services are cheap, they can tell immediately from your Instagram feed, from you posting a video, this person's fake. And they'll put it in a comment section, actually. And then you're saying you're being bullied. Well, while you shouldn't be doing what you're doing in the first place for the reasons you're doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe switch your motives and you'll be more successful. And so for me, when I think about, and I want to ask you this question closing out. When I think about my goals overall in life, I'm thinking about I want to make money, right? I do want to make money. That's why I got into business. I want to make money. And there's nothing wrong with that. God doesn't say there's anything wrong with that. Why do I want to make that money? So I'm going to ask you that question first. You want to make money. Why do you want to make that money? What are you going to do with that money?
I think people would expect anyone to be like, well, of course, everybody wants money. I want to buy anything I want. I want to give my family like a big house, a big car, a big boat, or whatever it is. I think for me personally, and I think for a lot of people, it's safety and security. It's the feeling of, oh, well, my bills are paid. My debt is gone. I don't have to think about it anymore. I don't have to worry about it anymore. And I think just from, my childhood and growing up and just always being an entrepreneur, I think that is my flesh of feeling as if I do have to make sure I'm safe and secure. because no one ever really took care of me. You know, I always had to take care of myself. So, and I don't mean that from a childhood perspective. So don't want my parents to listen to this and think I wasn't taken care of. But like, you know, just growing up and feeling like I always had to take care of me, myself, and I. And then you involve a family and kids, and then it becomes, okay, well, my kids need to be fed. Like there's nothing that will ever come between taking care of my child. So it's a really good question. And I wanted to bring up your surrender story. When you said that you woke up at 6:30 and you just said, God, like, take me where you want to go. And you went to that business meeting, just taking that one leap and that one step towards obedience of just, surrender. You were surrendering. You were saying, God, I trust you with whatever you have for me today. And then you did it. And then look at what he has brought you to. And I think as our flesh, we tend to we think that we're in control and that he's not, and that we can't trust him with anything. So we're like, give me all the money so that I can make sure I'm okay and that I can have all the things in life. But then when you don't have that kingdom mindset of vertical thinking instead of horizontal, like, I know where I'm going at the end of this, and I know that where I'm going to be is going to be 10 million times better than what I'm doing now, that will completely switch your perspective on money.
100%.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I love that you brought that up. You've encouraged me today. Like for real.
You.
I'm like, I'm going to be leaving here being like, you know what, Kelsie, like, let's think like Joe. Let's get back to our, serving others. And not saying that I stopped that, but I think there are just seasons in business owners' life where you kind of you can go through ruts. Yeah. But it's about just getting out of those ruts.
Yeah. I think 100%. I'm young. I'm 27, but I've been...
Your mind is like a 40-year-old.
I've been a career professional for a very long time. I started photography when I was 12. All that to say, I used to have this mindset, and it was actually as strong as I'm saying it now. It was screw everyone else. I need to go make as much money as I can make. And I didn't want to hurt anyone in the process. That was basically the only cause to that.
Yeah.
But I want to go make as much money as I make. And nowadays, I sit, I work, and as I'm even, vetting my clients, like, hey, should I work with this person? Should I not work with this person? More so than not, the question that I have for myself is, or the thing I say to myself is, I don't really think I'm ready to have $1 million in my bank account right now. I want it, but I don't think I'm ready for that. And why do I say that? Because if you look at my spending habits of how I'm treating,
$5.
Yeah. It's like, or
if he can trust you with a little, he can trust you with a lot.
If it's already promised to me, which there have been multiple people who I do not know, whether it's online, literally physically walking up to me in person or whatever, who have definitely said, I see finances in your future, like more so than a regular person. That's already been promised. And so I'm holding on to that. Yeah. If that's already been there, then why am I not there? It's because I'm not ready, clearly.
Right.
So I have to grow. So focusing more on a growth. And I was listening to some of the things you were saying too, as far as like, what would you do with the money, or why is it important? And so it's like, I think everyone has this mindset of money makes you feel more secure. But if you have $1 million in your bank account and someone comes in and invades America, who's secure?
That's right.
No one's secure.
That's right.
Or
it can be stripped from you.
Yeah,
in an instant.
I think there is definitely some. I think I do call bullcrap on the people who say that money doesn't make you happier. I call bullcrap on that, because it definitely does make you happy to a certain extent. But anyone who says money doesn't make you happy, the fact that you don't have to worry about if you tell me if you don't have to worry about your bills doesn't make you more happy, then you're insane.
Right.
So once you get to that point to where you make enough money where you don't have to worry about your bills, I think that's when a lot of people begin to worry and contemplate on, well, what matters?
Yeah.
And they begin to have these more religious conversations with themselves, like, okay, I make this much money. and I don't have to worry about my bills.
Yeah.
I don't have to even think about how much money is in my account. I don't have to check my account before I walk in Red Lobster. I can just swipe my credit card, swipe my debit card, and I don't have to worry about what's in there. I believe when we get to those places in our life, we then begin to say, what actually matters? Like, what am I actually doing here? Like, am I just doing this so that I can not have to worry about bills? Because that's already done. And I've definitely been in those places, even more recently. Now, so not so much. Definitely not right now. I'm not in that place. But when I was in that place, I began to build and actually figure out what matters to me.
Yeah.
Like, where do I want to work? Where do I want to serve? Who do I want to help?
That's right.
What actually matters? And so the work that I began to do became way more purposeful and impactful. And it really went from, I'm trying to make as much money as I want to make, to I really want to help someone the best I can. And anyone I feel like I can't help, I don't want to work with you, because I don't want to take your money. You should give it to someone else who will actually help you. You know?
Yeah. You're a really good person, Joe.
I don't think so.
You are.
But I appreciate it.
It's okay. I can say that. You can take a compliment.
I'll take your compliment.
Okay.
I take your compliment.
And the thing you said about happiness, it reminded me of a sermon I listened to a while back about the difference between happiness and joy. Because yes, like tangible things and money, it does bring happiness because, you know, like we need money to do things. And, you know, who doesn't like to be able to go buy a pair of shoes they've been wanting for 6 months, you know, like that's a blessing and that's happiness. But does it bring you true joy? It just brings you temporary happiness, because eventually you're going to look at those shoes and be like, you're not as excited about those shoes, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But the joy that only comes from the Lord is what is going to surpass every little tangible thing that you think is going to bring you happiness. And I think that's what has taught me a lot throughout this process. I think the word that keeps coming to me is humility. You asked me earlier about, like, you know, what's the difference between now and then? And I think now it's just humility of, like, you know, swallowing my pride and not looking at things from perspective for me. And I'm not perfect. You know, I mess up. I sometimes have selfish thoughts, but if I continue to look to the Father and what He wants for my life and what He wants me to speak to other people, that is way more rewarding than money and tangible things and like success or people thinking highly of you.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
No, 100%. I think everyone has to choose how they want to live their lives, and not do what they have to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I think as people who control our own lives, because we do have our own businesses, we don't have a boss, we have the opportunity to do that. Now, I think what's super important is that people figure that out as early as they can.
Yeah.
As early as you can, figure out what type of lifestyle you want to live. Because really, you know, we talk about money. I had this conversation with the mayor. He was talking about Rolex versus a watch from Walmart. They both do the same thing. They both tell you time. But what makes a difference? When you have a Rolex on your wrist, your appearance of how other people see you changes. Not actually, but your appearance of how you see me changes. So what am I paying for? I'm paying for status. I'm paying for a lifestyle. I want you to look at me and say, oh, he's part of that lifestyle, which is better than mine. Or if I had the same watch, the same as mine. So let's connect.
Yeah.
And isn't that so yucky?
Yeah. And looking back on it, I mean, there's been so many instances in my life when I was younger where it was about that. It was about status and like, you know, how beautiful is her home? How beautiful is her car? And do we have time? Because I have like a...
Oh, no,
okay. I'm going to share a little story. And it's very vulnerable, so you're welcome, everybody. So in 2021, when like I said earlier, in 2021, business was doing pretty well. And for my birthday, it was time to trade in my car. My car was like, you know, I hadn't been having a car payment for a while. I was like, you know what? We can afford a new car payment. So I'm going to look into cars. So the new Bronco was being built. And so because it was being built, you had to like put in an order for it to get it custom made. And it was like $100. So I put in an order for one, customized it and everything. And, you know, it was going to be the cost of like, you know, a new mom SUV or something. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Like, can't wait to be that cool mom in my Bronco, you know, like this is just totally my vibe. Mm-hmm. And, when it came time, it took like 9 months to get it made. And that's whenever the economy kind of started to crash, like inflation went up and we were starting to see the effects of the stimulus checks and everything. And, I kept hearing, you know, in my spirit, like, you don't need to get that. Like, you need to turn it away. I have better things for you. Like, just say no. Well, I didn't say no. And I bought it. And the car payment that I had every month was a lot more than I expected. And just because of, you know, interest rates and stuff. And I had it for about a year. And I loved that Bronco. Mm-hmm. Loved it. Could take the top down, ride it during the spring. It was awesome. My kids loved it. I just loved this. Like, I wouldn't say the status. Like, I didn't want to pull up and someone be like, she's rich. I think I just wanted to pull up and someone be like, she's so cool. Like, she's such a Bronco girl.
Yeah.
It sounds so yucky. Yeah. But that's just what I wanted to portray. I wanted people to know, like, yeah, she drives a Bronco. She plays the drums. She sings, you know, and I just wanted that so badly. And then finally, you know, I was looking at finances one night and the Lord was like, you've got to get rid of this. Like, this is what's holding you back. This is what's causing you so much anxiety because you feel like you have to attain this amount of money, you know, even after tithing and all of that, like you still have to bring this money because of this Bronco that you so desperately wanted for your image. And, so I prayed on it and I was like, Lord, you're really going to have to help me because this is hard. This is hard for me to give up because I love this car. It's like my one thing. You know, I'm a mom. Everything is always about everybody else. And like, this was my one thing.
Yeah.
And so I prayed on it. And a few days later, I said something to one of my friends about it. And she was like, hey, I know a guy, he has a car lot and he helps people sell their cars. Like, you should at least just call him and see like what he can do for you. So I call him and he's like, oh yeah. He's like, we'll list it for this. I try to, you know, kind of list it to where you either break even or you know, make a little bit on it and then we can trade for something. And long story short, I sold it and I traded it for that Butte out there, that Ford Explorer, that 2015, or I think it's a 2016. And now my car payment is way lower. You know, I ended up making $13,000 off of that Bronco because since I got it custom made, I didn't have to pay the dealership price. So when he sold it for what it was worth on, you know, online, I made money and I was able to basically almost pay that car off. So I barely have a car payment.
Wow.
And what the Lord taught me through that was you need to listen to me the first time because you wouldn't have had to go, you know, through all this like heartache and stuff. I know that sounds sad, like heartache over a car, but it was heartache for me. But even when you don't choose the way that I've told you to choose, I will always turn evil for good. Mm-hmm. You know, I will always bless the sacrifice and the surrender. So when I surrendered that Bronco, he blessed it, you know, and that's why I think living a surrendered life is so important, especially today.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So RIP Bronco. I loved that life. It was a wonderful Bronco, but the Explorer will do. Yeah.
No, 100%. I think we all kind of place ourselves in that position in life sometimes where it's like, I don't want to say living above our means because it's so like taboo to say, but
keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
We force ourselves into a lifestyle that we want for ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is just so selfish for everybody. I mean, I'm with you. I've done that so many times in my life. But we don't really think about the effects of everyone else. You know, we're only thinking about ourselves and our heart. You know, my identity, I mean, I'm not ashamed to say it, but my identity is definitely heavily tied with the car that I drive. It just is. And it's not, I don't say that proudly. I say that honestly.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
And I say that because right now money's really, really hard. So I pray and I'm like, God, I don't mind if you take everything, but don't take this.
Yeah. That was my prayer too. Anytime I was driving it, especially with the top down, you know, like driving through the country and listening to my music. I mean, it was just like, Lord, like, I know if you took this away from me, I would still be okay, but please don't.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, and that honestly, like, I know it's just a car, but I think going through that process taught me so much. Like, I think that was a really big part of my humbling that has brought me where I am now, which I'm still need a lot of humbling. So Lord, please continue to work on me. Thank you.
Okay. Can you tell everybody your accounts that they can go find you on, if you have a website, all the different things that you do?
Yes.
Open the floor to give you your spiel.
Yes. Okay. So I have a website. It's KelsieJoPhotography.com. I spell Kelsie Kelsie, and Joe is Jo, no E. And then I have an Instagram. It's Kelsie Jo Photo. And I have a Facebook under Kelsie Jo Photography. And I have TikTok. My TikTok, the personal branding one, is Peace, Love, and KJ.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I feel honored. I feel like I'm in the cool kids club.
Oh my gosh. Nah. I mean, I'm a kid because apparently you keep calling me a baby because I'm so young.
You are, but you're very wise for your age.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm happy for what you're doing.